Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert Gabriel. We're going to get started. Thank you so much for joining. This is the monthly user group for Medisoft. This is my contact information. I am the president and CEO of Microwise Technology, and this is just a disclaimer. Anything you learn in this seminar, you need to verify yourself. Microwise cannot be held responsible for any loss of business or data. Today's agenda is we're going to talk about how to build a simple custom report, moving credit, posting reversal and take back, best practices for deductible season, sending patient appointment reminders. Then we're going to open for Q&A. On the call, I'm going to have two people going to help me today. We have Zaki from Unlimited Reminders, and we have Kuczek from Microwise. She's the product and RCM expert. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to talk about custom report. Now, custom report are two types. There's a type where you can do yourself, even if you're not a report wizard. What I mean by a report wizard is I'm talking about be able to do like crystal reports. So to be able to design a crystal report, it needs special skills. Not everybody can do crystal reports, but the ones I'm going to show you today, I call them like flat reports or one table report. One table report means it's coming from maybe the address list, it's coming from the appointment list, it's coming from the patient list, labels, customizing a heck of a form, things like that. So let's move to Medisoft, and I'm going to show you that. So first is I'm going to go to report, and to load the reports is the custom report list. That's when you're ready to print. So when you're ready to print them, those are anything that you see on this list, you can actually customize. Then you can customize yourself or modify. And they're divided into different categories. There's list, there's ledger, there's labels, there's walkout receipts. And within each category, there might be more than one report or one receipt. So to open an existing one, I can just hit OK. And this is like printing. And I'm going to hit start. And this is like sending a receipt to this chart number. I can pick a different chart number and the date ranges. So I'm going to increase this date range here so I can see a larger range. And that will just print it for me here. So now this is just how to run it. But to customize it, you have to go to report, design custom report, and you're going to hit open. You're going to do similar to what I just did. Then you're going to open the one that you want. So now you're in the design view. Okay, so the design view, let me just familiarize you with the screen. This is header. Anything you type in this header, it will always be on top. Anything you type in the details, it will keep repeating. See that green line there? That's repeating. So the date from, the description, the procedure. So if there's multiple procedures that you're reporting on, they will be listed just like I showed you before. Then the footer, anything you put in the footer, it will keep repeating at the bottom of the page, if it happens to be the report that you're doing is multiple pages. Now you'll be able to modify the size of the header, the size of the footer, and the detail the way you want to. And also there's some tools here. This is a text label. So like, for example, let's say if I have the word patient here, that's a text label. So this was written using this kind of field, text field. So I can click here, I can type anywhere, then double click, then I can modify this. Okay, just you get the idea. Or I can modify one of them here. If I double click here and see the text, I can just modify this. Or if I don't want it, I can just hit the delete button on the keyboard. Okay. Then the best way to, if you're going to customize your own report or modify, I will advise that you save it with a different name. So if this is a report I just opened, I don't want to override it, because if I make a mistake, I don't want to lose something valuable that I have. You will not be able to modify and keep the same name if it's a report that comes with the system. Like if you're new to Medisoft and you open your report, anything that comes with the system, you will not be able to overwrite anyway. But if it's something that somebody designed in your office, we did it for you, or you designed it yourself, you will be able to override it. So you don't want to override it and regret it, because it's hard to reverse it. You got to go back to a backup. It's not that easy. So the best thing is, after you make your changes, you click on File and do Save As. So when you do Save As, I can change this to like maybe letter D. Okay, because that was my C version before, and I can do letter D. So from now on, when you go back to where I showed you before to run those reports, if I run on a report and custom report list, and depending on the category that I'm going to filter for, let's say I'm going to do the workout receipts, so this is the one I modified and I labeled it a D. Then now I can just run it just like I did before, and I can modify this the way I want to. It will just print like that. So you remember the detail, they will keep repeating based on how many they are within that range that I filtered for. And this is my header on top. So that header keeps repeating. So if that workout receipt happened to be multiple pages, it will keep repeating that header on top, and it will keep repeating the footer on top. I'm going to just open it one more time in design. I'm just going to point one thing out. So I'm going to open my D report that I just modified. So in the green section, that's the detail. Those are fields, and those fields are coming from your table, depending on which table that you designed. So if you want to create a new, say, if I don't want that amount, I don't want this amount, I want something else. So you will click Edit. Then you're going to need to know from which table and which field. So that's the hardest thing to do, knowing which table to use and which field to use. So those are tables that this is like insured 1, and this is all the field with insurance 1. This is insured 2. This is from the case. This is from the transaction. So pointing and knowing which field it is, that's going to be your hardest part. Once you do that, then everything else is easy. I can also change the font or the background color or anything like that. So that's if you want to get fancy. Now, if there's a field that I don't want, I can just delete it and enter a new field, but it's easier to double click on it and edit the field here instead of deleting, because sometimes trying to line them up the way they line up, it will take some time. Also, there's the position where the field is. If I double click on one of the field, notice that the position here, this is the height, this is the width. The width is how much information I will have across, and the height is where I want it positioned within my report. Okay. Any questions here? Now, most practices will be able to do those type of report themselves. It doesn't take that much talent or effort. But if you have a sophisticated report that you want, then we do have a report designer department at MicroWise. We can help you with that. And if you have the cloud, we normally include those custom reports for you. Now, to get a list of all the custom report that we designed and for other practices to get an idea, the best way to do it is go to microwise.com, click on products, click on Medisoft, and go to reports. So when you go to that page, you will see them this is all the different reports in Medisoft, the ones that we customize and the one that comes with the system. Because sometimes if you have a large database, sometimes it takes a while to run that report. So what we did here, we described the report. We get a screenshot of what you filter for. Then so if you click on it, you will get to see a larger version of that screenshot with the filter. And also, if you click on the output, this is what the report will look like. So if you're looking for a specific report, you can come here and just go through this. It's a lot easier than trying to keep running your own report, especially if you're new to Medisoft and maybe you don't have enough data yet. So those are each category with the different reports in it. Then when you come to the very bottom here, this is This category here is aging, and look how many different aging report within just an aging. Then this is financial reports, and this is different financial reports. Then we have marketing reports, collection report. This is facility, I'm sorry, financial. Then this is financial, that's not facility, like maybe provider and other things like that. Then at the very bottom here, we do have a plus pack. Then within the plus pack, we have custom report. This is one of my favorite custom reports we ever designed. And this report here, we give, if you have cloud, you can get this at no charge. And this report actually exports the data into Excel. Then you can take it into Excel. So the report will look like this. It will have the name of the patient, the chart number, the date of service, the procedure, the charge amount, paid by primary, paid by secondary, applied to a deductible, paid by patient or guarantor, adjustment, and remainder. This report is an amazing report that catches any billing mistakes or catching something that maybe was written off by mistake or something that has been open. It's a lot faster than running aging report or anything like that, because I can capture a big range of data for me and take it to Excel. And if you're good at Excel, you can do a lot with this report. Okay, so any questions on anything I've done with the reports? So the next topic is moving credits. So moving credits, there's two things. Don't get confused between moving credits and takebacks. So I'm going to talk about both of them. So moving credits is sometimes maybe a patient overpaid, or sometimes a patient paid for and you thought it was for member A in the family and it's supposed to be for member B of the family. So we can do credit in and credit out. Okay, however you want to name it. Just let me explain to you one major thing when you create those type of adjustments. So when you create an adjustment, it's usually this box is turned on, because an adjustment is usually designed to decrease the balance. What I mean by that, if a patient has a balance of $100 and you do a negative adjustment where this box is on, then now you do negative adjustment of $100, then now the patient has a zero balance. So when the adjustment is off, is actually it increases the balance. So it will increase it. So if a patient has a balance of $100 and you do a credit in, okay, this patient will have a balance of $200 because you just created. So why would you do something that, when just like the example I did here, where you might have a patient paid the wrong account, so you can move it like that. Or if you want to charge a late fee or a bounce check fee or anything that you don't want to do, you want to do any charges that is not a procedure, this is a way to do it. I think we have a question. Kim, you want to read that question?
We don't have anything in the chat box. Maybe they sent it just to you.
Okay. Or somebody's asking, how did I get to the screen? I'm sorry, I didn't show you guys. So let me show you how to get to the screen. So when you go to list and go to procedure and adjustment. So when you create new, I'm just going to give it a fake name here. Then when you change this, so those are the type of adjustment that I'm talking about today. If it's a revert, let's say if you're giving money back, you're cutting a check to the insurance company. Okay, maybe you want to do an insurance adjustment, and that one you wanted to make it turn this off, because when you return money to that's different from take back. When you give money, you cut a check to the insurance company, you wanted to increase the balance, not decrease the balance. Okay, so you want to you want to do this, and now that's an insurance adjustment. That's a positive insurance adjustment. The other type that I'm talking about here is if it's a patient adjustment. So that patient adjustment, and that's what I'm talking about by turning this checkbox on and off. So by default, when you create a new adjustment code, this box will be automatic. If you're just joining us, we will be sending the video for anything you might have missed. When we're done with today's seminar, we will, just like we always done, we will send you the video probably by Monday or Tuesday. So by default, when you create an adjustment, this will be turned on because it's assuming that you're making a negative adjustment. If you turn it off, that becomes a positive adjustment. A positive adjustment means it will increase the balance to whatever the balance is. So if a patient has a balance of 0, if you make a positive adjustment, it will add the money for whatever reason, maybe a late fee or maybe a bounce check or anything like that. Okay. So the other.
Okay, we do have another one here.
Go ahead.
It says when a patient pays a copay on a case and then the insurance EOB comes back and pays the visit in full, how do you move that copayment to prepay to the next case or a different person in their family? So if it ends up being a negative balance on the one line, how do you move that to another case or another person?
Okay, well, there's 2 ways of doing it. Just like I showed you here with the credit in and out, or let's move to the money bag. And let's say if I have here, if you apply it like this, I'm going to change this to call it patient payment. Okay. And let's say this is a check number and the patient, let's say it's Amy. Okay. And Amy paid me $20. So when you apply the $20 for Amy, and let's say I applied the $20 into this line right here. Let's do this line because it has a remainder of 3. So let's say I applied the $20 here. Okay, and now let me just turn all this off. Okay, so I applied that $20. Now, if I go back to Amy and I found out that I made a mistake, it was not supposed to be this transaction or this patient or whatever, and I found this out maybe next month or later on, I can delete it and create it again, but that might mess up your end of day deposits or end of year closeout. So if I go back to Amy and I open my the line that has my $20 that I just applied.
You can use the ledger if it resulted in a negative balance.
No, but why I'm thinking there's something missing here in the new version. Look like they missed wasn't I supposed to, I was able to search before?
With the little suitcase, you can, if you close this window.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the amount that I was looking for is
$20.
Okay. So it was a different case. So this is my $20 that I just applied. So after finding the $20 and it's showing at the bottom here. Let me change this here. Okay, so this is my $20. Now, if I delete this line, watch what's going to happen. Some of you might have seen this and didn't know what it means. If I delete this line, then once I hit save and close, it asks me, do you want to save now? I hit yes. Watch this. What it's saying here that this amount is going to go back into my deposit entry. Okay. What does this mean? When I go back to my money back, that $20 came back. See, unapplied, the $20 came back here. And usually we'll say if it was for a different date, like remember, this is today's date. If it was for a different date, you might have to navigate to that other date that it was left. Or if you really want to know if you have a good accounting or not, if you turn those 2 buttons on, now this is a demo, you're not supposed to see anything unapplied. Anything unapplied here is really not supposed to be like that. Only if you have money that legit supposed to be unapplied for whatever reason. But otherwise, this should be all be taken care of. I guarantee if you turn those 2 buttons on in 99% of practices, you will find a lot of junk here because a lot of people make a mistake with this. Now, if I turn both of them off, I will only get to see today's date. And if I go to whatever date I want, I'm seeing day by day. So not to confuse you, I'm going back to today's date. Now, when I apply this again, now I can choose to go to different day of service or different. I cannot go to a different patient from here unless I go back to my original deposit, change the patient altogether to a different patient. I can change the patient here, then apply it. So this will not affect the amount of money that I received for that day or that week or that month, but it will let me reapply it to a different date or a different patient if I want. I hope that answers your question. Now, I'm going to talk about the take back. The take back is a little bit different. Okay. So the take back is usually happens when the insurance company maybe overpaid you on one patient, or maybe they paid you on a patient that they thought that patient was covered, and for whatever reason that patient lost their job and lost their insurance. So the insurance can take that money back. And what they do is they take the money back from one patient, then apply it to a different patient. So let's have an example. So the example is, I'm going to go back to the money back, and let's say that insurance is Aetna. Okay, and let's say check number, blah, blah, blah. And Aetna was having, I don't recommend, by the way, this is just the dummy data that comes with Medisoft. I don't recommend having a payment code for Aetna and an adjustment code for Aetna. I will know that this was how we taught it 25 years ago, but now we have sophisticated reports that can show you actually how much payment you get for Aetna and how much. So there's no need to make a special payment for Aetna and a special payment adjustment for a particular payer. So let's say if the Aetna paid me $100, but the face value of the check or the EOB was actually 150 because they took money from one patient and gave it to another patient. So while you're applying that, okay, so let's say I'm going back to Amy here, and you see here I have unapplied of $100, but for whatever reason they took money away from this line here. I mean, this charges zero, so but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to put a $50 here. Watch what's going to happen here. Now this became $150. Now I have $150 to be applied to this patient or to other patients. I don't care. So let's say if I applied $100 here, so now I have $50. Then if I save this one and I go to a different patient, now I can apply that $50 to the other patient. Okay. So I think we have another question, Kim.
Nope, that was just our last questioner saying you did answer their question.
Okay, let me clear my. Okay, so now let's go back to the presentation and. Okay, now deductible. So this Kim is going to talk to us about the deductible. Go ahead, Kim.
Hi, everybody. Okay. So we know that deductible season is a large topic of discussion for a lot of practices, and what's the best way to make sure that we're collecting deductibles and things along those lines. So we have a few options here of different ways that we can handle deductible season. So the first one that we're going to talk about is collecting deductibles up front. So we do have quite a few practices that utilize this to ensure that they are actually collecting the money that is owed to them. And they mainly do this by using the real-time eligibility feature. If you have a fully integrated clearinghouse and you're using your eligibility option within Medisoft, this is a really good way to be able to see patients that still have open deductibles. A lot of insurances will provide you with your current deductible accruals for patients. So if they have $150 that are still open, and you know that your average collection for that particular procedure they're having is $100, you can collect that upfront from the patient and already have that posted to the patient's account so that you don't have to send statements to the patient. So this is a way that we can make sure that we're actually getting that money from the patients and we don't have to chase them with statements or phone calls to make sure that we're getting that money from them in the end. The second option that we have is to send the statements to the patient. So this would just be rendering the services, processing the claims through the insurance, and once we get that deductible notification, sending statements out to the patient in an attempt to collect those balances. And sometimes you may have to call the patients to make sure that they're receiving the statements and try and collect balances that way. So it does end up being a little bit more labor intensive than attempting to collect up front. And the third option that we have is something that we don't necessarily always recommend because there are some pitfalls if we do this, is holding the claims for a while until the deductible is fulfilled and then pushing them out of the system. Now, we can show you how you can change that claim status in Medisoft, and that's just by using your claims management area. And you can actually utilize your change status button in the top portion of that screen to select groupings of claims, or you can search with list only to find particular insurance carriers, and you can set them in a batch to the hold status so that they are not submitted with your batch. Now, one important thing to note here, we do have a lot of practices that consider doing this for Medicare, as they're either not participating with Medicaid or it's hard to collect the deductibles afterwards. But it is important to remember that there are a lot of patients that have Medicare, and they also have Medicare Advantage plans, and they don't always necessarily tell you that upfront, which can result in loss of revenue if we are holding on to these claims for 2, 3, 4 months and then sending them out. And then we'll find out at that time that they're covered under an Advantage plan, and we might end up losing out on money if we're trying to send to Aetna or United Healthcare, for example. So there are, pros and cons to all of the different options that we have here. Does anybody have any questions about deductible season or deductible collections?
So this is the changing of the batch status, or like the group that you picked from ready to send to hold. And now that's not gonna send it out. You can go back and say, show me all the ones on hold. And here they are. Now, also, you will be able to see it in the AR tracker. So in the AR tracker, hopefully everybody's using that, you will be able to see the unbilled claims by payer. So anything that shows any unbilled here, something that was not billed, and sometimes things get in here by mistake. So this should be always clean unless there's something didn't go out for because they were just happened to be entered today or yesterday, and somebody submits claim once a week. So you can just double click on it and get to see the payment. You can just keep zooming in, just like we've done this many times before. And I think you could never have enough of this training on this area here. I think it's a wonderful tool and everybody should be using it. Any questions here? All right. So now, Mario, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So we have Mario Zaki from Unlimited Reminder. We're going to talk about how to send patient reminders. Patient reminders can go out by text, phone calls, or phone call, like automated system that calls the patient to tell them that is this so-and-so, and you have an office reminder with Dr. XYZ on a specific date and time. And the patient will interact with the response on the screen. And I'm going to just mention why this is so important, because first of all, it's very affordable. Second, it can save you tons of money, and it helps you give the best possible service to your patients, and it increases the patient satisfaction. Without any further ado, I'll turn it to Mario.
All right, thank you. All right, you're gonna do the slide? Okay. So thank you for having me. How are you guys? My name is Mario Zaki with Unlimited Reminders. So we're gonna kind of just briefly cover some of the major features of Unlimited Reminders that does have a built-in integration with Medisoft. So one of the biggest things, it's unlimited calling, text, and email for one flat rate per provider. It's unlimited. It's communications with all your scheduled appointments with a few clicks. So for example, if you're in an area that, weather is going to be bad or you have a COVID outbreak in the office, you need to cancel, your appointments today, with a couple of easy clicks, you could send all your patients quick phone call or text message saying that you need to reschedule. All the messages are based on, we could customize it based on reason codes. So if a patient's coming in for the first time as a new patient, you can send them another or in addition to the message, you can say, please arrive 15 minutes early, or if they are doing blood work, you need them fasting, say, you could tell them, please be fasting. And it updates directly, like I said, right into office hours. So as they get a message and they want to confirm, they reply with yes, and it automatically updates it right into office hours. You can also send surveys or post-appointment messages. So if a patient has missed their appointment, and once you've marked them missed in office hours, you could send them a separate message like, we noticed you missed your appointment today. Please call back to reschedule. And it's works very seamless, very intuitive. They'll get a message says, they have an appointment with Dr. So-and-so on a certain date and time. Reply with yes to confirm or no to cancel. They just press reply and it will go right into office hours. And I'll show you how it works. So essentially the appointment will when you first set it, it will be unconfirmed. Once they reply with confirmed, it will, or they reply to yes, it will be confirmed. They reply to no, it will be a canceled appointment. This dramatically reduces no-shows because it helps with keeping your appointments organized. This is automatic. You can set it up send it up. You could do up to 3 appointments. You could do it 7 days in advance, 1 day in advance to, set a certain amount of messages to go out. And that way, none of your staff members need to call or confirm manually. All right. And that's about it. To schedule your demo, please let us know.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Any questions on appointment reminders?
We do have one question. They're asking about pricing.
Okay, it's $50 per month per doctor, right, Mario?
Yes.
Okay, and it's unlimited. So a lot of the vendors out there, they charge you based on the volume that you're doing. But this is here at $50 is really a very attractive price. That's the special pricing that we get partnering with Unlimited Reminders, and it's unlimited because a lot of times they might ask you for $79 or $99. That's the going rate. But if you go above 100 appointment per month, they charge you another $100 and it adds up. This is $50 unlimited text, emails, and phone calls. So
do we get a notification right on office hours that the person canceled?
Yes.
Or does it just disappear off of the screen? Because we have like an active cancellation list that we call people off of.
Great question. So you will get a portal with the unlimited reminders, and you can keep that portal open all the time, and you will get to see a list of all the canceled appointments. Or you can run a report in Medisoft for anything with the canceled status.
And then we have patients that are elderly that, they'll list a cell phone number down because they have it for emergencies. But can we choose the patients that we do or do not want to send messages to individually?
Yes.
Okay.
And you get to choose the preferred communication for each patient. So if one patient rather get emails, then you can send email. If one patient rather get phone calls, you can set the preference. So you as a practice, you can choose, I want to send a text as soon as the patient makes an appointment. Then maybe 2 days before, I want to send them a voice recording to remind them about their appointment. Then maybe 2 hours before the appointment, I want to send them another text. So this way they don't get carried away with their day and forget that they had an appointment. So, and all of this now in other vendors, they charge you for 3 messages. Now here it doesn't matter because you get unlimited. So you can send as many emails, voice calls, or text message. You don't get charged per message.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions?
You might be addressing it or you might have addressed this in the past, and if we don't have time, I can definitely go back and look. We use a paper Excel spreadsheet for our cancellation list on office hours. And in my office hours, I've noticed someplace that there is like some sort of list that I can add people to. I just have never been sure how to use it.
Oh, waiting list.
Yes. Like if
Okay.
somebody said, I'm in a lot of pain, if there's a cancellation, will you call me?
Sure. Yes, that's a very good question. So let me show that to everybody. So while you're doing your appointment, and let me just put some patient, I have a blank appointment. Okay, so let's say this was my day, and for maybe for physical or whatever reason, there's a waiting list, and that person wants to go on a waiting list. So let's say I haven't done the waiting list for so long. Let's remember where
Under
it is.
view, wait list.
Okay, wait list. So
Yeah.
let's say I have here some people on the waiting list. I have George on the waiting list. So let's say this person here canceled. So or let me do the one in the middle so it makes sense. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to hit canceled. Now this patient canceled. So now I can go back to my waiting list. And now I want to take one person from the people that waiting, and I'm going to take Ben Affleck and I'm going to drag them and drop them to that appointment. And now it removed them from the waiting list and it added them to the spot that was just freed for me. And if that spot fits two people for whatever reason, I can just drag and drop my second person and add them there. Okay, hopefully that answers your question.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I also saw all of these. There's probably so much more capabilities than I'm even aware of with Medisoft. So I just saw something about a reason when you open up the appointment.
Yes. Now, are you in the cloud or are you on premise?
Cloud.
Okay, so with the cloud, I created, I'm not sure, I'm very sure I covered those things. In clouds, I created an online academy. You get it for free. So if you go to Medisoft, medisoft.rcm101. So this is an online academy I created, and this is a very detailed course for Medisoft. You can watch this. You get it for free if you're in the cloud. So you can send me an email. I will send you the code that you get to log in with the cloud.
Okay.
Okay, and this is very detailed training. And if it's not covered there, you're welcome to suggest the topics, because I'm always looking for topics to cover, or we can do it one-on-one with the cloud. That's all included for you. Okay. Perfect. Great question. Thank you so much. Any other questions? All right. Well, good time flies fast. If there's no other questions, this is my contact information. You can call me or send me an email. I want to thank you so much for attending today, taking the time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much for your business. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.